We thought we'd roll out a once-in-a-lifetime business opportunity. Music.
Inter.
Worldwide.
Inter.
Worldwide.
Ciao ragazzi, Bruno here from Inter Worldwide, coming to you with my good friend, all the way from San Francisco. Alessandro, how are you?
Good. It's been a while.
It has been a while. As we say here in Australia, it's been too long between drinks. And,
Nice.
With COVID hitting us really strong, causing an end to the season prematurely, postponement to the season, then it's just been match after match after match. And we've had a couple of results. We'll just quickly skim through it. We had the 1-1 draw with Napoli in the Coppa. I believe we had the 3-3 draw with the Sassuolo. No, we won against Sampdoria, had the 3-3 draw with Sassuolo. We had the 6-0 win against Brescia. But we're going to focus today on our most recent game, and that was this morning in Australia, and I believe last night in the rest of the world. It was Inter hosting Bologna. So I'm going to hand it over to you. Give us a rundown of what happened and your thoughts on the match, Ale.
Sure. Well, it's been a roller coaster since we started playing, and today's match was the sum of this whole situation. Basically, we were up 1-0. Lukaku scored a nice goal, rebound after Lautaro hit the post. And in the second half, Soriano, a Bologna player, got sent off for, I'm not sure exactly what he said to the referee, but it was a direct red card after a very silly foul. So I think it's just for protest. And after that, basically we switched off. We were not able to take advantage of that. Even if we got a penalty, Lautaro missed the penalty, Gagliardini missed basically a second penalty, the rebound, and that was it for us. Mihailovic made 3 substitutions right away, and those 3 substitutions changed the game. Bologna was able to draw and do the 2-1 in the middle minutes, and that was too late. The team was all over the place, and Conte did some substitution. I believe was minute 87, which I honestly don't understand, especially since right now we have 5 substitutions for a game, so it's a little bit too late to change the game. So that was pretty much it for what happened. And my opinion is that Pazza Inter is back if it ever went away, and I cannot believe that not even Conte is able to get out a normal performance against Bologna. I mean, we saw just last week some positive things, and this week we are back with people with the wrong mentality, players that get demotivated after, I don't know, the minimum wrong thing on the field, like you missed a penalty, okay, whatever, you can score another goal. You don't have to do, it's right, we're gonna win it anyway. I mean, Andanovic already did a couple of good saves before the 1-1, and I have to tell you, I mean, I wrote it on Twitter. I mean, that was so obvious that we were not gonna win the game. I was hoping for a draw, not for a 0 point. But it was pretty obvious. And the player who scored the first goal is 18 years old, and he was all over the place. I mean, that's the kind of mentality we should have. We should be there, especially after Lazio lost the game. We should be there fighting for every ball and winning this freaking game 3-0 after the first half. There is no way that we can, just leave another season hoping to get in the third or fourth position at the end of the last game, which is, I guess, Atlanta, by the way. So, what do you think, Bruno?
Oh, look, going into the match, I had my worries. Not because we're facing Bologna, but because coming off a 6-0 win, I think players tend to get complacent. And that match we played against Brescia, it was a completely different lineup to what we're used to. And when I saw the lineup for this game, I was sort of confident. But then as the game went on, like you said, I could just see the result going the other way. And I think in our WhatsApp chat, we all saw it coming. Look, it was a great first. Up until our goal, we were playing spectacularly. It was amazing. I think Bologna had the ball very rarely in Inter's half. We were actually dominating, and it looked very fluid. The gameplay was going extremely well. We got the goal we needed to break the deadlock in the first half. It was brilliant. I just think just watching Martinez in the last 2-3 games, he's been very off the mark. And you know what? A lot of his goals, a lot of Lukaku's goals and other players' goals have come off a Martinez. Like when was it? I think it was against the Sassuolo. Was it against the Sassuolo or was it against Parma? I think it was Parma. It was a Martinez header that De Vrij got on the end of and got it in. We saw against Brescia the same thing, and we saw yesterday it was a beautiful shot by Martinez, hits the post, but Lukaku doing what Lukaku needs to do was in the right place at the right time. When we got that penalty and I saw Martinez stepping up, I knew we were going to miss it. I knew we were definitely going to miss it. Just because he's not in the right mind space. Now, I'm not against Lukaku giving the penalty to Martinez, because sometimes it doesn't matter if it's a penalty, a player gets that one goal, it gets rid of the demons in their mind and gets them to push on and they start scoring. But I think Conte should have stepped up and seen what I think the rest of Inter fans could see. And just said, no, you're not taking this one here. We got the like you mentioned, they picked up a red card, and we got the penalty straight after that. But I just find it very funny that we've been given, and I've been very critical of this for a very long time. And since the return of the Serie A after the break due to COVID, we've been given the luxury of 5 substitutions rather than your standard 3. Now, this game was played, what time would have been there? Would have been roughly 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Italy in summer. So your players are facing very hot conditions to the point where they're stopping the games once in each half for a drinks break. Right, so that says something on its own. I do not understand Conte's mentality of bringing on a substitute in the 75th minute was his first substitute he brought on. I do not understand that. When you're playing in extremely hot conditions, you're not used to it. You're playing a game every 4 days. You're not playing a game once a week as we're used to, right? We're playing a game every 4 days. In these hot conditions, we should rotate our players especially when we've got the 5-player rotation we can afford to do. And I just feel he waited way too long to make that first substitution. And then subsequently, he made the rest of them in the 80th plus minutes of the match. I just feel he's not utilizing what we've got. Now, we're playing a game every 4 days, but every other team's doing the exact same at the same time. And Bologna does not
Can I
have
mention something?
Yeah, definitely.
I forgot to say that Bastoni got the second yellow card, and that was when we were drawing 1-1, if I'm correct. And the other thing was, like, we already saw that the referee during the second half was just giving yellow card after yellow card.
Definitely. So I was about to touch on that.
If you see that the referee is giving yellow cards, you know you have a player with a yellow card, and you see that the team is not playing as supposed to, and you have 5 substitutions. Change that player. Why wait until what happened? Which, in my opinion, that wasn't anything. That wasn't yellow card. There wasn't red card. There was no contact on the player. So Bastoni should have been played 90 minutes or whatever, but that wasn't anything. So, sorry.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And no, I agree. And I think it was against Brescia. He took the fry off after 45 minutes because he was on the yellow, and he brought on Ranocchia. Now, in the Brescia game, it wasn't actually Conte who was in charge. So that might say something too. But it was great thinking at the time to do what was done then. But now we've got Bastoni, who's been absolutely on fire for Inter. He's missing the next game. D'Ambrosio is now missing the next game due to picking up his 5th yellow card. Fortunately enough, Skriniar is actually returning. The Fry's there, but I don't want to rely on Godin too much. He's been overexposed in the Serie A, where they're taking advantage of him way too easily. And I think it was against Parma. They were just running circles around him in that game. And I believe
the game against Parma was all wrong, the formation, because Conte decided to have both sides. I don't know what he was thinking, but he had D'Ambrosio on the right and Godin on the left, and he never played on the left. And on top of that, he had Biraghi in front of him. So on one side you have
it was very different.
And Godin to help, which it doesn't make any sense. And on the other side you have D'Ambrosio and Candreva, or was Moses?
It was Candreva, then Moses.
Yeah, and you play this formation, so with the 2 in the back, the support, the right, they are pretty slow against 2 of the fastest player in Serie A. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, but at the same time, we're due, and for once, it wasn't due to injury that we're missing defenders because of suspension and stupid mistakes. And like you said, the referee was handing out yellow cards like it was nothing. I do want to give a special mention to Ashley Young. I just feel since he's joined this Inter squad, he has been amazing in what he's been doing. He's been playing exceptionally well, and he's doing very well at what he needs to do. He's up front when he needs to be up front, and he drops back and does the job that's needed there. But overall, it was a game of 2 halves, and I think we all saw it. It was unfortunate, and I woke up at I didn't wake up. I stayed up, and in Australia it happened at the game commenced at 1:15 in the morning, and it was very hard to fall asleep after being so frustrated with such a result. It was actually disgusting. But look, we can all say what Conte needs to do and all of that. But we're not in his shoes. We don't know the situation. I don't know why Barella wasn't there. Do you have any information on as to why Barella didn't play?
I think it was just keeping him rested for the next game. Honestly,
Yeah,
not
I just
sure
feel
100%.
yeah, because he wasn't listed as an injury or anything along those lines, and I found it very surprising that he wasn't even substituted on in the second half, especially when you got Gagliardini there. I would have preferred to see Vecino start instead of Gagliardini, just because Gagliardini's cost us a fair bit the last couple of games. All right, yeah, he scored, but what was it? The sixth goal against Brescia. I don't think it really counts when you're up 4-5-0 and you put a goal in. You've made up for lost time there, especially after the horrendous miss against Sassuolo. But look, overall, a lot of fans are calling for Conte's head, saying Conte out, and I don't agree. And Ale, I'm sure you don't agree. I think he's done great things with the club so far. But if I told you, Alessandro, at the start of the season, after just signing Conte, that after 30 games, he would have only lost 4 games, would you have believed me?
Probably not. Maybe I was hoping for something like that. But this Conte out is just, honestly, I think is nonsense. Not only because
it's terrible.
Yeah, not only because it's his fourth season at Inter, not only because the situation we're living in is extraordinary. Nobody could predict anything like that.
No,
And third, okay, Conte out. Who is coach available in this moment that can be better than Conte?
Max Allegri.
Honestly, I don't see
apparently.
anybody. So it's easy to say Conte out, but then what?
Yeah, exactly. Look, let's not dwell on that because we're both getting a bit upset. We are now traveling to Verona to face Hellas Verona, who lost this morning as well against Brescia, who we beat 6-0. I think we are running out a bit of time, so let's try to wrap this up in the next 5-10 minutes. But yes, we're traveling to Verona. Like I mentioned earlier, we're very limited to our defenders because of suspension, but they lost to Brescia, so we thumped them 6-0. I said to you earlier that means we beat them 6-0. They beat Verona 2-0. So added up, we should be beating them 8-0, which I don't see happening. I see it being a very mediocre game. But what's your predictions in regards to the result, and what are some of the changes you'd make in regards to who you'd be starting instead?
So quickly, Verona before the Brescia game was in a pretty good form, and I'm super surprised they lost. Said that, hopefully we won't have any trouble, but at this point it's just a matter of what's going on in the player's mind. I know that today after the game, Conte was in the locker room for an hour. He didn't go to the press conference. There was somebody saying there was a big fight with Marotta too. But right now we need to be more focused on the mental aspect than on the formation, because especially with the 5 substitution, hopefully we should be able to adjust the game. Of course, not if you do the substitution at the 87 minutes, but there is more possibility, and smaller teams like Verona, like Brescia, like Bologna, they should be a little bit more in trouble because of this game after game situation. I mean, right now, I was thinking like it feels like I don't know, I'm playing FIFA where I finish one game and then there is right away another one. Every game you can watch games all over the places. But so going back to the Verona game, the situation in the defense, it's gonna be a little bit tricky. I think we have basically 3 players, and then maybe we can bring back Young if we need instead of Godin. But and then we have Ranocchia, but I will keep Ranocchia as a substitution just in case, honestly. And I hope Moses can come back. He had a small injury, so he wasn't available. And then, if I have to be honest, I feel a little bit bad for Gagliardini. Everybody's mad at Gagliardini. Today, before the 1-1 and that awful mistake on the rebound, he wasn't playing so bad. And same thing against Brescia. And if it wasn't for that goal that missed, even the game before, he's not doing so bad. But then all these unfortunate mistakes, that stuff is gonna mess up with your head. And no matter how strong you are, probably it's time for Gagliardini to take a break. And now we have Vecino back. We can play Barella and Brozovic, which today was a little bit disappointing, in my opinion, and Eriksen as well. It was the ghost of a player. I don't know if he's too tired for all these games, but yeah, today wasn't his best performances. What do you think, Bruno?
Yeah.
Bruno?
Yeah. Am I talking? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, I was muted and I was talking to myself for a bit there. Look, I agree. Just looking off today's game, obviously we're going to have 2 changes at the back with D'Ambrosio and Bastoni both out due to suspension. So yeah, no brainer there. Skriniar will be coming back. I don't know. I'd like to see Godin start as well, just to give him some game time. We do need him for the Europa League as well. So let's see how that goes there. I definitely have to start Ashley Young and Kandreva, just because of lack of players there. But depending on how they go at training, potentially we'll see Baraghi start over Young, with Young coming in to replace Godin, like you mentioned earlier. Gagliardini, I think, needs to sit this one out, as well as Christian Eriksen. Not because they're not great players. Gagliardini, I just think he needs a break. He needs to sit back and reassess. Christian Eriksen, he's done a lot for Inter. A lot's happened for the guy since he joined the club, moved to a new city, new country, gets locked down on his own. He was finding some form before we went into the break. So, look, I just think let's not utilize him every single week. I'd like to see Barella start as well as Vecino start. And if push comes to shove, let's take Vecino off and bring on Eriksen. Up front, Romelu has to start. He's just on fire at the moment. 20 goals in 30 Serie A games. And Alexis over Martinez. I just think Martinez needs to, again, like Gagliardini, sit back and reassess. He just needs time to himself. And look, if we do get a bit of a lead, let's take Romelu off and bring on Martinez and give him some game time. But at the same time, we just need to make sure he doesn't drop the ball and cost Inter too much. Overall, I do think the boys can bounce back. I do see us winning 2-0. 2-0 would probably be.
I think Sanchez is injured at the moment.
I don't know. I didn't see anything of him being injured at the moment. but unless he picked up something this morning, because he played the last 20 minutes. So I'm not 100% sure. That may be some new news that's coming out. But yeah, I just think that we need to get the 3 points. Fortunately enough for Inter, Roma lost, and that was probably the biggest look in my eyes. I wasn't too worried about Lazio losing. Now I think Inter only need 8 points to qualify for Champions League. If they won this morning, it would have been 5. So we need to win 3 out of our last 8 games, which is very doable. But then you look at our run home. We've got Roma, Fiorentina, Napoli, who is on fire at the moment, and Atalanta, who may have everything to play for. They're currently sitting 5 points behind Lazio, 1 point behind Inter. They may be playing for second place on the last day. But I feel if we can get to match day 35 and we've got Champions League wrapped up, it's an accomplishment for us this season. But yes, on that note, we will be bringing out more podcasts very shortly. We will be covering, we'll be doing this a lot more frequently. Now we're getting back into a routine. But we'll have to leave it at that. Alessandro, thank you for joining me on what I could say isn't the best possible match review we've done in a while, huh?
Oh, well. Being an Interist, I'm kind of used to this.
Yeah, definitely. In the last couple of years, I've lost a couple of years of my life, and I've gotten a couple of grey hairs, that's for sure. All right, well, grazie Ale, thank you as always. And thank you always to the Inter Worldwide community. Forza Inter Worldwide. Ciao ragazzi.
Ciao.
This recording now.